live for our final Peacemaker review. Unless there's any more Peacemaker, we'll talk about that.
Yeah.
Who knows? I think that's kind of a valid thing to say at this point in time. Who knows, there's more Peacemaker. But you know what? We have a lot to talk about because not only do we have the final episode to talk about, we also have to talk about episode 7 as well. Which this is a big finale episode. This may take us a while, so let's just get right on into talking about all this Peacemaker stuff.
Welcome to the Dingus Den.
All right, welcome in everybody. This is a little bit of a maybe bittersweet as it's the last Peacemaker thing that we were doing because we had this idea to start. We did a review show or like a what do you want to say?
Retrospective.
That's the word I was looking for. Retrospective for season 1 of Peacemaker to lead up, which was great rewatching all that to lead up to season 2 of Peacemaker, which has been fun breaking down most of them one episode at a time, but there's been a couple exceptions here and there. This being one of them, as we are a week late. But we're here now to talk about the final Peacemaker episode, episodes, but specifically that last one set the internet on fire in ways that I
know.
Yeah. We'll reach it when we reach it. How we feel about it. Keep on watching and you'll find out, as we first have episode 7 to talk about. However, before episode 7, I do just want to, or before we talk about any Peacemaker at all, what I want to do is I want to bring up, first off, we have Matthew here. What's up, Matthew? hey to you too. And I had a couple things I want to share as far as Dingus and stuff coming, and I'll share this again at the end. But first and foremost, originally it was going to be saved for an announcement last week, but I ended up going ahead and announcing it, I think a few days ago for its anniversary, and that is Before the Cape, which is going to take the time slot of our Peacemaker shows, is that we are going to be doing a Smallville review show. And so one of those giant, big things that neither of us have watched. And then we're also going to have on a friend that he loves Smallville. So it'll be fun as he'll be, whenever he's with us, will prove as like a guide to us in a way. So next week we'll be starting at the giant journey of Smallville, starting with the premiere. And then after that, we're going to mess around and see how things go with Smallville. That is in the show here Before the Cape.
Pretty excited. I even bought, you can kind of see it right there. The whole series right there.
That's pretty nice.
I'm excited to watch it. It's one of those shows that's always kind of like, it's been out there. It's been on my radar.
Yeah, it's been a while.
I forget about it, or I see it had 10 seasons, and I was like, I gotta set aside a time for that.
That's true. It's one of those things where I don't remember which project ticked it over, but it was something in, I believe, middle of Phase 4 of Marvel, where officially the time to watch all the MCU stuff surpassed everything with Smallville. And that's saying something, because that includes everything after Endgame and before, as well as, like, I remember it's one of those shows is what it was.
Yeah, well, yeah, because it's like 210 or 15 episodes, something like that. And so they're all probably in the 45-minute range.
Yeah, so. And because of that, other than special cases like the premiere or a finale or something like that, just to try to get through it quicker, I do want to try to figure out ways to combine episodes. So, like, we'll be experimenting with stuff and saying, like, there'll be some weeks where we're like, well, maybe, we should tweak it and do something like, next time, So it's very much going to be an experimental show to begin with until I think we find the right flow. So we'll see what happens, though, because like I said...
Can you believe that Michael Rosenbaum and Tom Welling stole our idea 3 years ago when they launched Talkville?
I know, that's crazy, right?
We're gonna come after them, We're gonna... That's why we couldn't call it Talkville,
Yeah, exactly. That is a really good idea. That's really good. Matthew said you didn't even bother watching Smallville, watched an earlier show of Superboy that came out in 1988, which is obviously the lesser, as a lot of people love Smallville. And so, yeah. And you know what, Matthew? You should, if you have access to watch Smallville, which last I know is on Hulu, join us for the journey as well. We'll probably post up ahead of time, maybe beginning like tomorrow or beginning of next week. That like, hey, we're doing a Smallville show. We're doing the premiere. So if you want to, watch along with us or something, So,
yeah, but I'm looking forward to it. So.
Yeah, for sure. The other thing I wanted to share is on Thursday night, I got to record a special video with Chris said, what about Lois and Clark? We don't talk about that one. Anyway, before that completely lost my train of thought. Thank you, Chris. Thursday night, I recorded an interview with creator of a really cool indie comic. I should have set aside the comic beside me to show, but it is in the video where I talked about the writer / creator of Dino Knights. And so there's a thumbnail that I made for it right there, showing on stream here. And this is really cool. It was a great conversation that we had. Ended up being like 40 minutes long that we just talked about it. It was one of those indie comics that I genuinely love. So it was like the moment after I read it, or like literally like the week after I read it, I was like, hey, I'd love to have you on sometime. We had a great conversation, and he's a great guy as well. After we recorded, we were talking like 20 minutes afterwards just about other comics and stuff we read and video games and such. And so you may come back sometime for some more stuff. And so, but yeah, definitely check that out, because he has the Kickstarter for Dino Knights ends about a week, but then he'll also have late pledges open for a bit as well. But check that out, and that'll be uploaded tomorrow. So, but that's, you know what, let's get into the main thing now. Is there's a bunch to get into. We have 2 episodes to get through, and both of them are meaty episodes.
Mm-hmm.
They're big episodes we got here. What do you mean YouTube is drunk? What are you talking about? I have no. I don't know what's going on there.
Having some technical difficulties.
Is there?
I don't know.
I don't know. I'm going to go on. If there's something wrong, let me know, everyone.
I don't see anything on my end. So.
Okay. I was going to say, just seeing a what the fuck YouTube thing. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. Anyway, episode 7. It immediately begins with picking right. This is like the one episode that doesn't begin in a flashback. Funny enough, as it picks right off from the big finale, or not finale, the end of episode 6, where I got the big reveal of the world. Earth X is Earth X. I completely blanked on what it was called for a moment. Earth X, and that was funny. And Harcourt being like, "How do you not notice the giant Hitler?" And the I don't remember.
Chris is like, how'd you expect me to notice that?
Yeah, exactly.
Or the books, all
the books.
Yeah. And Adebayo still running, and when she ran to the pool, I was like, "What are you doing? Like, that's gonna slow you down." But then obviously Judo Masters is there with the electrical cords and zaps people.
That is kind of funny. That's one of those things that I found funny. Like, why did everybody jump in the pool? If there's any one thing to critique about this episode, is that of I just kind of found it ridiculous of how they were all jumping in the pool and following after her. It to me is like the equivalent of, you remember the controversy with the Obi-Wan show in episode, I think it was 2, when Leia was in the first episode. I guess it would have to have been the first episode. I would think about it. Mm-hmm. The part where Flea and them is chasing Leia.
Oh,
there's
Leia,
that one tiny branch that they all are blocked by, and they're like, "What the heck do we do?" That's kind of how I felt about the pool thing. Is it's nobody thought to hey, let's maybe surround the pool or something.
Exactly, trap her in. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I was like, okay. Whatever.
Yeah, that was definitely the one thing I was like, all right. I mean, it's funny, but like, what if Judo Master wasn't there? Like, Adebayo would have been
Yeah.
screwed. So, but we do learn that that's the most people that Judo Master has killed in a pool.
So random. So random. I love it.
Um,
He's so funny. We have the two vigilantes again together, which was a really fun scene.
oh yeah,
Having them two together, having them always go at each other, and I think it was a bit later in the episode, but I love the point where, oh no, I remember is whenever they're about to go into the house is, I remember. I find it funny. Is like, oh yeah, his Pokemon's Infernape too, and Adebayo was like, why does that matter?
exactly. He knows bird facts too. But I liked when it was similar to episode 6 when they first met, where they agree on everything, and then our main Earth vigilante says that Peacemaker's his best friend, and then Earth X is like, I hate Peacemaker. He's why I do what I do.
Yeah, it's interesting
I thought
because
that was funny.
they make up obviously after that is
Yeah.
You're I feel like unless you're paying close attention, it's hard to tell who's who in this, like they make it hard. There's even a debate online. I think it's obvious once you like watch it, or not obvious per se, but like if you pay attention of which vigilante is which at the end. But I remember some people thought that the other old vigilante went in, and I was like, no, that's not what happened at all.
No, that's not what happened at all. Yeah.
But you can't get confused if you don't pay attention.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, having two vigilantes are great. Vigilante is always a highlight. Such a fun character always. Especially, he's the main source of comedy when everything else in this is really action-packed or hitting emotional beats for the other bits, honestly. Such as in this episode, we get we get a bunch of action in this episode. This is probably like the most action-packed episode, I'd say. Beginning with a bunch of action, you have Adebayo running away, you have Harcourt and Peacemaker getting away, where we get to see him ride his bike, which was awesome.
Yeah.
The music they're playing on the bike, I don't remember the song of it. I should pull up the song list here.
I loved though with his jetpack when he's like, hold on, and he flies right into like the glass. And he's like, I haven't figured out how to work it with two people.
I do really like that he uses the jetpack and stuff. I find that to be cool. It's interesting because I feel like no. I like that he uses jump pack in this because he uses the jump pack a lot in those original Peacemaker comics, which is something you'll learn when you get into those, and that we may possibly review. I'm trying to find the track list because I'm sure I remember all the songs I played in this. So give me just one moment and I'll find it. Because it's any point around here. Here we go. I believe that song was probably Still Pretending, although I could be wrong. Because they're So We Can Never Die, as well as Gore-Tex Weather Report, which all good songs, but in particular the one on the bike I really liked.
Yeah.
So. You flew us through the glass. Yes.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah. But yeah, that was and we get great stuff with Peacemaker's father in this reality. I think that was one of the big twist for me that I was like, oh, okay, learning that they're not terrible people.
Yeah, they're not Nazis,
Yeah, they're not bad, one of the aspects that made the theory make the most sense wasn't actually a legitimate piece for it, which is interesting. I was like, that was a very interesting thing. And for Peacemaker to finally actually have the father that he cared for.
Yeah. Well, and that was, honestly, this episode might be my favorite of the season, because not only just for the action, but the performances in this. I mean, anyone that says that John Cena can't act, watch season 1 and 2 Peacemaker, but specifically in this episode, it's like, dude can act, and he showed great emotion. And
somebody's brought up a good point that James Gunn he has an ability to bring in the best in some actors, for example, I mean, you're absolutely right about John Cena. right?
Mhm.
Like we've seen the other movies that he's in, and they're not great movies on his part.
Right.
You know, like for instance, I love the Bumblebee movie, but his
Oh, I do
acting in that
too.
is
Yeah.
not particularly the
Right.
best. You know,
Yeah.
and
Exactly.
so there's obviously a whole lot that he's grown, which is great to see. But
Mhm.
um, James Gunn, I think, has really learned to help him shape his acting ability. And, another, I think, great actor where you get arguably his best performances is Chris Pratt. He
Yeah.
does a great job as Star Lord, but don't get me wrong, I really like Chris Pratt as an actor. But,
Mhm.
it's like some of the stuff that he does isn't
Yeah, especially like in
quite.
Guardians 3.
Yeah. So,
Great stuff.
I think James has a special ability with certain actors. Like he's just able to
Mhm.
pinpoint certain people and get them, which is good. And so, yeah, who would have
But
thought?
I loved when Judo Master and Adebayo in that house, and it's like there's more of the different names. So like Scrabble is like Scrabble.
Yeah, we got
But
more of that.
we got a good conversation between the two of them. I mean, we learned a lot about Judo Master,
Yeah.
and even with Adebayo, with her relationship with what's her name? Uh,
Um. Oh yeah. I
her girlfriend.
blanked on her
I'm
name.
blanking on her
Right.
name,
Yeah.
but Judo Master gives a good perspective on that, which
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
we get in the finale. Or is that no? That's in this episode. I think their interaction. I think it's towards the end
That's next episode when
or
they
next
visit it.
episode. Okay, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm getting it mixed up there.
You're all good.
So yeah, but I just thought that conversation. That's what I liked about this season is the character. We're getting more. It's more character driven.
It really is,
there's
and
action, but
I think
I appreciate
that's
that.
I think that's while we're talking about it, I think that's why a bunch of people were disappointed in the finale. Is at the end of the day, the finale was a very character driven finale more than what
Oh
actually
yeah,
happened. And we do see growth with a bunch of the characters. And I think, with you
yeah.
talking about Judo Master specifically in this episode, if you really want to look deep into it, it's the events of this episode is why Judo Master ends up where he is at the end of the
Yeah.
day. And we then experience the journey with why Flurry ends up where he does in episode 8 through those experiences that they each have. And so, there is important character growth that happens through all of this.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
and it is cool though of up until this episode we've had however many episodes with Judo Master where we just think, oh, he's a freaking asshole, I don't like him,
Exactly.
and
Yeah.
then this is the first time where you don't think that he's an asshole and even at times kind of rooting for him. It's like,
Yeah.
the moment he saves the day at the pool, it's like, oh, look, it's Judo Master saving the day, it's great. And
Mhm.
so we got some great character expansion there for sure with Judo Master, which is cool.
Yeah.
Definitely appreciate that a lot.
And even when we get, I can't remember if I'm skipping ahead too much, but when we get, oh no, it's not, because Chris is being chased by the police.
I
His
love
dad
that
and
part.
brother swoop in and basically
That
wipe out all the police,
that
which was
part
great.
when it first
You know.
happened made me jump. I was not expecting
yeah.
that. I was just, I was
I
just
wasn't either, to
chilling.
be honest.
There's the great music playing. The cops interrupt the music. The next thing you know, boom, out of
Boom, yeah.
nowhere. And like I just remember that actually jumped. Like that's like the one thing that's made me jump this season.
Yeah.
Another part
And then,
later in this episode almost did, but
Oh,
not
yeah.
like the explosions. Those explosions when they came in, I just was not
They were loud.
expecting it.
Yeah.
And I was just, it made me jump.
Yeah.
But
'cause
that
we
was
get-
great.
Yeah, they take him back to their house. And I love that Economos is still tied up, and then he sees him and he acts like he doesn't know who they are, but he's so bad at lying. He's like, "Hey guys," and then he's like, "Oh, I don't know you guys at all."
We also got the whole part with him and Eagly together where he was trying to be
Oh,
on
that
top
was
of
great.
Eagly. And
He's like,
just
he's like,
unable
"Rope?
to.
You think I need rope?" It's like, what? Why in the world would I need rope?
Why do you need rope? Like, come on. Yeah, no, that's so
And then
funny.
doesn't he fall in his chair? Or was that a previous episode? It might have been a previous episode. I could be
It might have been this one.
mistaken there. Yeah.
But yeah, let's see here. We also got the full reveal this episode of the character that who was referenced last episode or set up last episode to help Rick Flag Sr. revealed to be who I
Yes.
thought it was going to be, Sydney Hamperson, the person
Mhm.
at the computer with the glasses. The Milton of Lex Luthor's crew, if you will.
Exactly.
So but yeah, we see him where yeah, he was funny.
I love how he asks, he's like, "Will I get time off my sentence?" And Rick Flagg's like, "No." And he's like, "Then why should I do it?" And he's like, "Because Lex said you would." And
yeah,
he's like, "All right, you know, don't want to get in trouble with the boss."
yeah, I like how he is there, and his end credit in this episode was funny as well, where
Mhm.
you know he's pulling up the place and getting ready, if you know what I mean. So,
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay. But yeah,
Like, not what they wanted you for, you know?
not quite, but okay, that's how we're doing it. But yeah, the scene with everyone in the living room, essentially everyone in the living room, is great. The twist with Vigilante there jumping through the window.
Oh, man, that I was like, "Oh." I
Often
found I
is
was like, I felt for his dad. I was like, "Crap, Vigilante, you're just
it was like he was like, Vigilante, you
destroying him."
asshole,
I
you know.
know.
But here's the thing,
Yeah.
though, was at the same time, though, I think from his perspective, I mean, granted, his
Right,
perspective on a bunch of things is really whack.
Yeah.
But you know, and you know that especially shows next episode. But
Yes.
in this case, though, it is one of those justifiable things where it's like, well, you see, he sees Economos tied up. These two people in their super suits are, from a glance, probably keeping the others hostage. You know, it's like I
Mhm.
think he was completely within his right to probably have done something like that, you know, to save his friends.
Yeah.
And so, but it was like still like what a crazy twist. And he just jumps in
know.
through and like, you know, talk about a big surprise there. I was not expecting that at
Mhm.
all. So that was
And this whole sequence is one of my favorites of the season.
it was really good.
Yeah.
Because we also get the detective. I don't remember his name, but the detective back from
Oh,
season
yeah, from
one as
season
well.
1, yeah.
Yeah, seeing his
Yeah.
alternate self here, and you know,
Mhm.
obviously we know that the main detective wouldn't be there because of racial
Right.
reasons, but
Exactly.
but
Yeah.
you know, it was cool to see him. I don't remember his name. Damn it.
No, I can't remember either.
I just rewatched these today, but or I should say half rewatched them. Like I was busy working on schoolwork while I had them up. But,
Yeah.
Um.
And then we
But,
get
yeah.
oh, well, sorry, I was gonna say they all try to go to the doors, and then Keith shows up, and then Eagly just starts eating him, basically. And they're all like
Yeah.
punching him and beating him up. And this is when, you know, Chris yells and stop. He's like, quit.
Yeah.
You know, he's like, you know, leave him be. And is apologizing to him. And then Harcourt, or he leaves, and then Harcourt's like, turns to Vigilante. He's like, give me the gun. I'm gonna put him out of his misery, kind of thing, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
Is
then you had the other vigilante fighting the cops, basically.
yeah, there's so much there. There's a very quick sequence, which is so much
Mhm.
happening. You know, really action packed, which is great. The scream there, that's what a huge moment.
Yeah.
John Cena played it really well for the moment that really breaks his character, as we
Mhm.
find, and that moment was just wow.
Yeah.
They really drove home in that moment in particular, I think, with this
Mhm.
character, and then having the flashbacks and really, you know, I think it hit pretty hard there.
Yeah.
And initially they were going to end up having his brother dead there, but
Oh, interesting.
instead they make it so it's instead crafted like the perfect villain for Peacemaker later on if they ever find the chance. But the problem is with bringing him back is having to find the right opportunity, finding the right way to bring him in through one multiverse to another. That's not, you know,
Yeah.
forced. And so, but yeah, no, that was a really, really good moment. And
Mhm.
we get, and then we go back and Peacemaker surrenders himself. And, you know, I wasn't quite expecting that ending the first time
Mhm.
watched it of just, holy cow, Peacemaker's,
He's at his breaking point. He's
he's,
kind of, and we learn in the next episode that he thinks that he's better off in prison because he can't hurt anyone that he loves. You know.
yeah, no, I mean, I think that moment when he screams was the point where he broke.
Yeah.
And so you really see him just driven off into a really, really dark place. And it's interesting because that Peacemaker finale, there kind of wasn't a bunch of Peacemaker in it, at least not until closer to
Right.
the second half. But
Mhm.
we did, though. It did begin with. Well, do you have anything else in episode 7 to specifically talk about? You kind of already
No,
covered
I
the
mean
other
it
bits.
it was a
It
great
was it
episode.
was great. It was really quick. There was a bunch of action with
I
it.
was gonna say this was a shorter episode. This was like a 30-minute episode or
See,
something
this
like
is
that.
one of those things where a
I
lot of people
agree.
complain about episode lengths, and this is
Yeah.
one of those that I would put there as like a counterpoint. I
Mhm.
was personally surprised that this episode was like the one that wrapped up the Earth X storyline, because I was expecting.
Mhm.
I knew that in episode 8 that they were going to go and open up the different doors and stuff, and I
Yeah.
assumed that they were going to go through the other doors while they were still on Earth X, and then there's going to be a big thing that happens while they're trying to find them or while they're escaping or something. I
Yeah.
wasn't
No, that's
expecting the
true.
whole Earth X thing to
Yeah.
particularly end right there. And somebody, there's a couple interesting points that people kind of brought up of how to look at these scenarios. And one of these is like, and I can kind of see how they feel of
Mhm.
this, is like where I remember somebody said like episode 7 was like the main finale, and then episode 8 in
Yes.
a way is like an epilogue.
I was seeing that a lot. Yeah.
And or the other thing is too is episode 7 was the wrap up of the main physical conflict.
Mhm.
Or 7, yeah, 7 was the end
Yeah.
of the physical conflict, and then 8 was the end of like the emotional,
And
that we had.
I would even throw it in to agree with the first point, but I would throw in like the first about half of episode 8 was kind of also the finale, and then there's a epilogue, kind of like in the last
Yeah,
quarter of the episode.
there's a bunch
Felt
of
like
stuff
an
that
epilogue.
happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some interesting things that happens in episode 8.
I definitely I will say this. I don't have issues to the same level that a lot of people online did. I still liked the episode. Something I found interesting was watching the episode. I went, I guess Foxy Shazam was the big cameo. Um,
Yeah, well, here's
because
the thing is
James has, you
I
know,
think a bunch of people took those words out of context. If you look at it, and
yeah.
you could see how things are, like things get mistranslated through text all the time, and people need to
100%. Yeah.
understand that.
Yeah.
And so
Of course.
people look at these things and being like, he lied, but it's like, well, no, look
Right,
at
right,
the
right, right.
context of this. A bunch of people thought we were getting Blue Beetle because somebody asked a question of, hey, are we going to get
That's
anything
right.
Blue Beetle? And he was like, stay tabbed, or keep,
Hmm.
you know,
He could have been talking about a future project that they're currently working
it's
on.
one of those cases where I think the person was specifically talking about Peacemaker versus James Gunn was just responding in general.
Yeah,
Um,
I agree.
and one of the other things is he said there was cameos, but he did mainly mention that there was just a major cameo, and we got
Yeah,
that major cameo. He never
we
said that
did.
there was
Yeah,
specific. He never once said that there was going to be a major cameo in episode 8. People just
that's
assumed
true. That's true.
because
Yeah, yeah.
there was going to be that it was a finale, that there would be something huge.
That's a good point. I do think Lex was the big cameo because that was
100%.
episode 6, right? Yeah,
Mhm.
and he said in these 3 episodes, yeah, okay, that meant yeah. And like I said, I didn't have issues with it. I enjoyed the finale personally.
I do too.
So when I saw people dogging on it online, I was like, did we not watch the same
The
finale?
thing about episode 8
You
is
know?
I could agree maybe that there's a thing or two that they could have shown a little more of.
Yeah,
But I think what we got though was still really good.
yeah.
And
And
so
when you think about James Gunn, I mean, he's such a big music fan.
Mhm.
So having the 2 music scenes, which I could understand maybe cutting them a little shorter, but for him, that
yeah.
could be part of the my favorite thing I've ever done. Well, he's a big music guy, so of course, getting
Yeah.
2 bands on that he likes, that's a personal thing. He's gonna like that. He's gonna say it's one of his favorite things. So
Oh
you know,
yeah, there's a particular scene which we'll get to in
yeah,
particular when we reach it. Because episode 8 has so much to break down,
it
where I
does.
agree. There's a bunch.
Yeah,
So you
for
know
an
what? Let's get into it. We have
of
it
course.
begins with the flashback where they're what's the restaurant called that they're in? Harcourt and Chris are in eating out a month ago, and we
Mhm.
see them bonding. He's embarrassing her over
Yeah,
there. He's just such a big music nerd. And a Big Belly Burger, duh, that's where it was. at Big Belly Burger, famous. We saw like signs, or maybe I think it's signs you saw at Superman. I don't think there was actually a Big Belly Burger location in Superman.
No, yeah, I think it was signs, yeah.
But yeah, we see them together there. We still do see Harcourt, obviously still being like a person that's unstable, with the person that bumped into or whatever. And
then yeah. Oh,
and
man.
so we're getting the proper build up to the big boat moment that has been teased essentially throughout the whole season. Like, that's the thing, is when you think about it, like the whole season has led to whatever's happened on the boat. Like, it has been focused on being a it is a big
staple point.
Yeah, it was a big staple point, showing the emotional like through line that this season had of being more character driven, which is one of those very important things that we need to keep in mind. Welcome in, James, in the chat. What is up? Great to see you here.
What thought I had is this season, and James has said this, is setting up Man of Tomorrow, right? So while some of this might not make sense right now, I guarantee you once Man of Tomorrow comes out, we're going to be looking back at this and go, oh my God, like it'll elevate it. Like,
we'll talk about what the big thing is that he sets up at the end. I've done a little bit of research and particularly what's going on with it. But let's see here. Anyway, we get the big
that was just
thing.
a thought that popped in
my head briefly. We get see that Nelson is playing on the boat, and so it then cuts to the last ever song of the. I don't know, like I love the intro, but like this time, the time when watching it for my first time, the finale, to me it had like a hint of like a bit of sadness to it, because it was like it was like, darn, it's the last episode. Like, it's been great watching all these episodes, and I do really like that intro, and so I don't know, it just had to me this like stroke of sadness with it, of like
it was like a send off,
the last time to
hear
like
for
hear it like, again for the first,
exactly,
I don't know.
Yeah.
Like
I had the same thought. Yeah, it was one of those songs.
There's always something special about experiencing something the first time, and it'd be the last time, the last time you experience that for your first time.
And the song has just continued to grow on me, because when I first heard it, I didn't hate it, but I was like, all right, that's a cool song. And then like each week I'm like jamming to it, and I'm like, never skip the intro, by the way. When you watch Peacemaker, you don't skip the intro.
It's such a good. I really like the intro. What was the only part you didn't like, Matthew? Is it the intro? Is it the intro still you didn't like still? Curious. And since we are talking about the finale, let us know, what did you think of the finale? Were you a fan of the finale, or did you think the finale was garbage like a bunch of people online?
People are saying the gun jammed. And I'm like, boom.
Well, I don't know. It's like, I get why people have had these high expectations, because at the end of the day, this is the first big DCU show, so people are wanting huge things from it. People had the expectation that, well, in season 1 we got the Justice League. Who's going to be in this one? So like, there is reasons to have their expectation, but I don't know. I think sometimes, people's personal, what they were wanting can get in the way of it, and this is one of those things that I feel like happens a lot with superhero shows. It seems like this conversation happens with about every Marvel show, like, look at what happened with WandaVision. Everyone was convinced Mephisto would happen, and no, you know what? Honestly, I'll be honest. I was part of that crowd too, of thinking, maybe we'll actually get Mephisto, like, there was a bunch of things where the stars aligned for something that didn't happen there. And, when Mephisto didn't appear in that finale, I was like, this show was not good. It was just a weird gimmick of a show. But then after I rewatched the show a couple years later, in preparation for Doctor Strange 2, I thoroughly enjoyed the show a lot more, with being able to appreciate it for what it actually is versus having these expectations, and that's a big thing that's important is, I think it's one of those things that it could grow on people if you actually take a step back and then realize the story that we actually get versus what people are expecting. And that's the thing you have to keep in mind too, is, you know, it's this is one of those very heavily character driven shows. You know, I think this is like a great thing to relate to, like something like the Penguin. You know, the Penguin didn't
Oh yeah,
rely on
Penguin's
having
great.
like a huge cameo, and I'm not saying this is quite as good as the Penguin. Penguin's great,
Right,
this is
right,
great
right,
as
right.
well. But you know, they're both at the end of the day shows about examining their main characters and then having great other arcs with the different side characters at the same time. You know,
Mhm.
they're both great shows that examine the characters, and this
And
both of those finales were very character driven in both their own ways.
yeah. Well, and what James is doing right now with the DCU is a lot like what Marvel did with the Infinity Saga. Each project is going to lead into the next, for the most part, or set up something in the
It's
next.
going to set up something
Um,
for the universe.
exactly.
So
So that's why I said earlier, when the next projects come out, a lot of people I think are gonna look back on this and go, "Oh, that's what he was doing," and they're gonna be like, "Oh, this is great," and
yeah, I mean, you
maybe
know,
I don't know. They
it
may
leads
still
up
be
to
like, "Oh,
it leads up to big things, which we'll get to again at the
exactly,
end.
yeah,
But specifically, you know, you did mention we could see Chris in the prison. You know, he's just wanting to isolate himself, feeling like that he's, you know, last episode literally broke him, where he
yeah,
thought he was, you know, not sure what to do, um, and so, but yeah, he's broken. We then start going through all the different portals. We got the big door scene where Flurry was picking on the one guy, and
yeah."
uh,
Oh, we get
yeah.
the one where they go into like Candyland,
Yeah,
Candy World, as they
they
called
go
it.
through the first door, and
Those
and the
those
candy
little creatures or whatever was
gummy
like
bear imps. Yeah,
he, what he was doing with Flurry in his helmet. I was
trying
like,
to
"Oh,
fuck Flurry's helmet. Yeah, that was pretty funny.
I was like,
Oh,
but then they got typical James Gunn with creatures like this. They get violent quick. I mean, they break
they
the
did.
glass on the one guy's and just eat his face off. I was like, oh my gosh.
What a life that guy. You know, he got completely embarrassed to death, and then literally
Yeah.
dies.
Like what do you put on the death certificate? Died by what? Eaten alive by gummy
Bears.
creatures, gummy bears. Like
Yeah.
what? Like
Oh, those
just
were crazy. Yeah, and,
yeah.
yeah, we got the candy world. Something interesting was back in episode 1, we did get a
Mhm.
reference to these imps through
Oh,
Peacemaker's father, and like what you would assume to be a kind of a throwaway line, but actually did set them up.
interesting.
Where he talked about, if I remember right, I think the line involved him talking about a little imp coming in his coffee or something like that, and
Yeah, or like a cereal or something.
or
Yeah,
cereal.
yeah,
Maybe
yeah.
that's it.
Cereal, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And
That's
it's
right. I
like
remember
one of
that.
those perfect, and he is like, listen, if one of those fucks Flurry's helmet, absolutely legit that one of them would do that into somebody's cereal.
Exactly. Oh
uh,
my gosh, that's so funny.
so, you know, we did get a setup for him, which is funny.
Yeah.
But,
Oh my gosh.
yeah, so that was
But some
quite
of
an
those
interesting time.
doors, and I don't know if you know this, like I don't know if these are in the comics, but there was one where it was like these big, they looked like death creatures or something, like
Yeah, like the big
skulls,
spider skull things. Yeah,
spiders. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm not
That
quite
was
sure what those are, to be
yeah.
honest. I'm not 100%
'Cause that was one
sure.
of those. They opened it, and they're like, oh, and then closed.
Yeah, yeah. Because like the Candyland was really the only one they spent a bunch of time in, other
Hmm.
than the one at the end. And
Yeah.
so, and it was a quick succession, like, you know, cuts
Hmm.
through them. You know, it was a
Yeah.
cool montage that we got with it,
Hmm.
and the music was a lot of fun with it. Um, which I think that was the one. That, hold on, let me pull up the episode 8 song list. Let me find that again. Because I believe that was the one where it was the song called, yeah, it is, called "Fucking My Heart in the Ass" by Steel Panther. uh,
I remember
uh,
when James posted the song list. I was like, what a name! Like, how do you even find that?
yeah, yeah. There was a song by Steel Panther. It was in episode 1 or 2 of Peacemaker, season 1.
Oh, okay.
That was in it. Yeah, and so interesting to see them back in the season with that song, as that song was played a
Yeah.
lot supposedly because of, yeah, it's a really heavily edited scene, you know,
Yeah.
splicing together, and it really shows. It's one of those things where, even though at surface value it's kind of like a fun couple minute montage,
Yeah.
there's important story stuff that happens in it beyond them just looking through it. You know, we also see all these people dying left and right,
Yeah.
including some of the soldiers that we knew for just from the background.
Well,
And
there
while
and
we're seeing these people struggle, we're seeing the people up in the computer bay or
Yeah.
whatever.
they're just chilling, you know.
They're hanging out, you know. We
Mm.
really see Rick Flag Sr. turn much more into a dick through all this.
I know.
And so
I love there's the one door that's literally a black hole, which was awesome.
It's like pretty much the same thing that we got from like Superman, which is interesting.
Exactly, that's what it looked like. Yeah.
We also got a zombie one that I remember.
Yes.
So
yes, there was another one I thought they.
So here's an
got,
interesting
like, pulled
fun
in.
fact about
Mhm.
the main one, the main zombie you see that where he gets like punched
Mhm.
in the mouth and dies or whatever.
Yeah.
The stunt person that played that zombie, it was his daughter who plays the girl in Superman that he saves. That's like the prominent shot in like the first trailer.
Oh yeah, where
that
he
he saves the
his
girl,
arm.
and yeah.
Oh wow, that's
so
cool.
yeah. So a fun fact there.
Yeah. I love there's a part where Rick Flag is talking to Economos, and he references Sasha as Rick Flag's girlfriend, and Rick Flag's like no, and then they cut to them like be in bed and stuff, and I was like, all right, they do have a thing, which I figured they did. I mean, it was pretty obvious.
Yeah, definitely.
I saw this was after I didn't say this earlier in the season, but it was like after episode. It was the episode where we learned that Sasha is like a cyborg, like part cyborg.
Mm-hmm.
I saw on Twitter this post went semi-viral because someone said, "Oh, well, this is Cyborg for the DCU,"
Oh,
and
yeah,
I felt like I lost a brain cell reading that because I was like, "What?
What do you mean?
There's
It's
more
like,
than one
that's so stupid.
cyborg. Like
There
that's
could be
not,
more.
yeah.
There could be more than one person that can be cyborg.
I was like, oh, anyway.
Yeah, no, 100%. And we do have something to talk about with her at the end as well. But specifically, you know, I think one of the things that people were expecting more is that maybe we could have gotten like a more notable dimension, you know, than just something like, you know, Earth X. If somebody watched the CW or is a huge comic nerd, they knew Earth X played a big role, you know, that's a big, cool multiversal Earth. So I think part of people's disappointment was that they were wanting to see another door that was like really cool and out there.
Yeah.
But we kind of didn't. Like my thing with it is one of those things just kind of disappointed while watching of you're in this giant room with literally infinite possibilities of what could be behind all the doors. And what's really annoying is their marketing for the episode. If you watched any trailer for it, it pretty much spoiled what was in every single door. And that was one of those things that annoyed me. And I remember we texted a little bit about this, and you're like, hey, you didn't watch it. And I was like, you know what? Good for you. I'm glad that you weren't spoiled or anything like that, because it really annoyed me that I didn't. That like, I don't know. It's just one of those things I was like looking forward of like, oh, I bet there's like a really cool dimension behind one of these doors, and all the cool wacky dimensions we already saw, you know.
Yeah.
And I would have just liked to maybe only have. I think the first trailer or the main trailer or something had the skull on it, the skull door show. But other than that, it's like they should have just kept it secret. Everyone else,
yeah, I mean, that's kind of surprising that they, they showed them all.
Like imagine not knowing Candyland was coming, and then seeing the Candyland, you know. So anyway, that was just like a big personal gripe of like, why I could see people was disappointed, because this is one of those things. Like I was in the moment of watching, I was like, oh, that's all we're getting from these doors?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I get that. Yeah.
And, you know, obviously, when we're looking back on it, it's like not particularly a bad thing that they, you know, because I do understand to a
just
point
a brief marketing issue.
I mean, there's that, but like, you know, there's a bunch of things that they could have also done with the doors, and I think that's maybe some other people's thing that where, you know, if we're Earth X, who knows what other worlds could have been through there, you know, what other notable Earths that we could have gotten but didn't get. But, you know, those are all probably being saved. And it doesn't mean each one of those doors necessarily has or each of those worlds has a doorway too, you know? You have to have a good reason to, you know? It's not like you're going to find a doorway to the world of the dinosaur Justice League, you know? So, you know, it's like, why would they have a door, you know? So,
I'm sure you heard this, that James Gunn messed around with the idea of Deadpool being behind one of the doors, which would have been hilarious, but of course, that's
I
right
do think it would have
stuff.
been hilarious, but I definitely think it
Yeah.
was the right move to not have done something
Right.
like that,
Yeah.
because I think that would have also in some way played into people's point of you have all these doorways for what could be great alternate DC multiverses that we didn't get any
Exactly.
hints of, but then we get the Marvel. It's like, really, come on.
Yeah.
So, but
We did get a great scene again with Vigilante's mom. Zadabayo goes to visit,
yeah,
and he's like, her name is Adebayo. We call her Ads, and he just keeps going off on her again.
felt really
It's
bad
great.
for her there,
I know.
and unlike
These
in episode,
vigilantes.
I think it was
Yeah.
6 when you first met her. Unlike in
Mhm.
episode 6, this episode, you feel bad for her.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
Like, it seemed like in episode 6, she kind of just brushed it off and went along with her
yeah.
day. But in this
You
one,
can
it
see
was
the
like,
sadness on her face.
this time, like, it got to her. And, like, I really felt like, damn, Vigilante, you're a freaking
Yeah.
dick.
I
Like,
know, he really was.
Like,
And even
come on.
Adebayo kind of is like, you need to be kinder to your mom, and
Yeah.
but that's how she goes to convince him to use the blood money to bail Chris
I
out.
gotta be
you know.
honest, I've mentioned this, I haven't done it with every
Mhm.
single episode, but I've done it in a couple of the episodes previously. But I feel like, if you had to designate like an MVP for every episode, the
Yeah.
MVP of this episode is Adebayo.
100%.
She like all her scenes that she was in, I think she like stole the scene, especially this blood money scene and how she like tricks Vigilante to use the money for their good. But I also love
Mhm.
Vigilante in this scene too, in his backwards thinking of thinking that there's these different options. He's like, we can kill the prison break.
kill-
That's the option I
yeah.
wanted. Oh, we can't do
Exactly.
prison break. Let's take the judge's family as hostages.
Yeah. I was like, good grief, man.
So
Yeah.
funny.
Mhm. His mind just instantly goes to like the most violent option.
Yeah.
But and even like just when you were talking about Adebayo, even the scene at Chris's motel room when she like gets up in his face and is getting emotional, like telling him everything. That was great. That was a great scene.
Fantastic scene. That's one of those that
Mhm.
I think that's one of the most emotional scenes of this whole season. That
Yeah.
with along with that one in episode 6 that we broke down.
Yeah.
But like this was really her point to shine. You see her really just get in and just she knew what she was doing there, and she did an absolutely fantastic job there.
Mhm.
Really seeing what her whole character, went up to be, which is great, and
Mhm.
really making Chris realize, oh, this is
People
how-
do care about him.
yeah, people do care about him. This is why your way of thinking is wrong. And this is what's really right and everything. And yeah, it was a genuinely great scene. Like I just felt all the emotion there and everything with her. I was like, holy cow, this is really good.
Mhm.
So, but yeah, no, what a scene right there. There's the big scene stealer, and that's one of the things like when James Gunn was talking about why is one of his favorite things he ever directed. And it wasn't just because of the music stuff, but it was because of that scene in particular where he got. If you watch the Peacemaker podcast, this scene is so emotional to him that it made him start crying because of him breaking down how parts of Peacemaker's character he wrote in was qualities that his father had, and is really emotional for him too. Which is, like I said,
Mhm.
it's one of those things that it's a really character-driven show. If you can't get behind the characters, it's one of those things that's just not for you, I think, which is okay to say.
Yeah. It's not going to be for everyone, yeah.
Yeah. So.
And Peacemaker kind of gets the sort of closure he's needed with Harcourt, where he asks her again, he's like, did it mean anything on the boat? Yeah. And she finally gives him the answer. And we get that great celebration scene with him, and then we kick off the
there is before we get all there. Let's there's a couple other bits that we skipped over. Talk about. We got in the control room. There's this big moment where what's the name? Economist was he's that's mostly improv there. is what he did
Oh,
there.
that's awesome. Yeah,
Of him trying to distract everybody while they're trying to figure out Peacemaker's location.
yeah, because Sasha approached Harcourt and told her everything, and then they get to Happerstan's
Yeah.
computer.
We do see them actually find that world at first. That's important, which is just nothing to us, but they're like, why?
Yeah.
We see the board of the like board government board there again from Superman, all gathered up, and you know, it officially establishes that this is like a month after Superman. Everyone's kind of raising an eyebrow at Rick Flag Sr. of like, you a month ago opposed what Lex is doing. And now you're here doing things. And this is one of the things that people have also critiqued about that I disagree with, is that they felt like, you know, they didn't think it was believable that Rick Flag Sr. just flipped a switch to hating Lex to you know. Well, yeah, that's the thing, is if you look at his character all the way back from like Creature Commandos, somebody made up a really good point that he was easily manipulated in that show.
Yeah.
And we do see, Lex is a really manipulative person, so it makes sense that he would, he knows how to, be like, hey, yeah, do these things, and you'll get this thing that you want. And
I think
at the end of the day, he did get what he wanted.
And I think Lex showed that there is a way, and I think Rick Flag was kind of waiting to see if that really was could be done. And when he saw that Lex knew how it could be done, then he was like, all right, I'm gonna do this for myself.
Yeah.
So,
and we are seeing like all these breaking points to some of the characters too. As earlier in that montage, what I didn't mention about it is that the montage with the doors and everything is that was really the big moment that made us realize what broke Flurry for what's going to happen. And I think part of the cyborg character, we see her starting to break, but I think it was during this part of what made her break as well. When she realized what was going on, of them wanting to use this place as a prison for metahumans, she was like, "Oh crap! This is something wrong here." That didn't sit with her. So she goes and meets up with Harcourt at Big Belly Burger. And we then get the flashback to what happened on the boat, where we get this great music scene with Nelson, which I really like. They did it with both the big music spots of having music videos that they put out there for both of them, which was fantastic. I love that they put out full-on music videos where it's the song playing with like some parts of the scenes cut in, as well as them just playing on the stage and the full songs, which is great. So we got that full thing, experiencing what finally happened on the boat, where the whole time what happened on the boat is that they were having a great time enjoying music and they kissed, and then that made Harcourt break and she had to leave. We were having all these references to the boat since episode 1 of the season. Let me ask you, did you think what you thought was happening on the boat? Did you think that this was it?
I thought it was something along those lines. Because I didn't think, because when Chris, from a guy's perspective, when he kept going, did it mean anything? I was like, it was probably a kiss, or they did something that was good, because Chris was wanting to know if it meant something.
Yeah.
So if it, I think if it was like a fight, I mean, I guess I could see him kind of being the same way, but I figured it was more than likely it was something like that.
Maybe it's my dirty mind, and I don't know if I should actually be saying this, but I'm going to say anyway, is during my whole time, anytime I was like, oh, they fucked on the boat is what happened.
I mean, yeah,
that's pretty close aligned in some ways. I don't know. In my mind, it was like, yeah, they were on some getaway boat or something, and then they did that, and so that was what was in my mind. Like, oh, was the entire.
I mean, you know what? Knowing James Gunn, that very well could have been a possibility.
Listen, for a show that has a decent amount of sex jokes.
I mean, it did have an orgy in episode 1.
Exactly, so it's like, well, there's a Thunder possibility, but I figured it would be something like that, though. But looking back on it, I did really like that as a concert. It was a very fun concert, seeing them get into it. And it did create for a sweet moment. And obviously, we do learn why, after having looked back on knowing the full context of it, there's a bunch of context pieces there of where I think if we saw the kiss initially, it wouldn't have hit as hard in some ways. Learning certain background with Harcourt to why she reacted the way she did. For such as learning her relationship with Rick Flag Jr. is one of them. So, but yeah, the horizontal monster mash is what Matthew said. But anyway, it was after all that though. That's when she asks Sasha for help. But we do get the scene with it's the one you mentioned earlier with Adebayo and her wife, where they're together, and that was a great scene. The only thing that I think would have made this scene a lot better is, even though that was a greatly acted scene, it was like the second scene of the whole season where we see the two characters together. And I think it would. I think, while I think it's a great scene, I think it would have hit harder if we could have gotten another moment or two with them together to actually see more of seeing their relationship struggle than hearing about the relationship struggle. I think would have helped that a lot more. But
that's a good point. I didn't even realize that it. Now that I think about it, I was like, wow, yeah, that only 2 scenes.
You really don't get much with them.
Yeah.
But I mean, it does fit though with her overall, thing though, was they didn't necessarily ever really fully
have the
get
same
along
goals
together even since season 1. So, it makes sense that when you look at all their characters, and it's one of those things that didn't feel out of place, but you're like, yeah, maybe this could have, not the scene itself was still a pretty good scene. I don't want to take away their great acting, but I think they both did a great job acting in that scene. But I think Matthew, you do say in a good way here, say yes, it would have had a bigger impact. And I agree with that. It would have done better if we could have gone some more of them. But I don't want to use that as a way to take away what we did get, though. Is that I still think at the end of the day it was a good scene.
Yeah.
So kudos to them all involved. They then confront Chris. Vigilante tackles and teases him.
That was awesome.
Vigilante's violent instincts win. I think.
He just loves tackling people by surprise.
Yeah. Oh man. So yeah, that happens. And we were talking about the big moment with Adebayo and everyone there in the room. That was just a great scene.
Yeah.
Asking if the kiss mattered. And then we get the big Foxy Shazam song, the song that we've heard all season. But they see it performed live, and on the boat a week later after they, had their confrontation with Chris. It was a really fun montage. I think it was like that big. This is like the moment that James Gunn just said and made him feel very happy, and that's why he loved the show. Is a big part of it, just that scene of everything going on there. There's the big boat scene. You see them hanging out, having fun. Like, even if you look in the background, you can see James Gunn in the far back in one of the shots, which is funny.
Yeah, I saw that the other day.
I didn't. When I watched, I didn't keep that close of an eye to see where he was, but it is funny though, because he did talk about how he was like, oh yeah, come on, let's just go enjoy ourselves in this shot, with the season wrapping up and enjoying the band there. He's like, let's go have fun. And so he's back there with a bunch of the other crew, which is fun. Just, what a time. I imagine that would have been such a blast to have filmed, just having so much fun. Like they seem like a fun band. Like the singer, I don't know his name, but he's a very energetic singer, not this say this as a knock against other singers where they just kind of just stand there or just walk around. But
Eric Nally is the lead vocalist. Eric Nally is the name of the lead vocalist.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he does a great, he's a very he's a talented vocalist, but he also he moves around a lot, and it's just one of those things where you can tell it's he puts on a good show. Like you can just tell he does. Like his energy is great, just completely vibing with it and everything. Like,
and it fits the show energy, you know.
Yeah, no, absolutely, 100%. And so it's one of those great things that I really did like. And it really doesn't feel good. Like I honestly enjoyed the scene watching it again than the first time, just because like it was just so much fun. You're seeing them all celebrate. You see them taking the money, and you know now that Vigilante, you know, they're able to convince Vigilante. We see them building this organization. They're setting up all this stuff here. Everyone's friends.
What is checkmate exactly?
We'll get to that here in a moment.
Okay, sorry.
You know, we see everyone come together there, and the famous James Gunn style slow walk, seeing Sacha Baron with the. I love the way they did this because there's a great reveal to show Fleury and, oh my gosh, we were just talking about him. The other person, the Cheeto guy. We were just talking
Judo Master.
Judo Master, thank you. Him and Judo Master together. I was like, we were just talking about him not long ago. Him and Judo Master is part of the team there of Checkmate. Where that was the big reveal, so big that oh wait, before we get to that, we there's this little point that we get as well with Fleury and Adrian Vigilante there comparing, you know, back and forth there. That was hilarious. I thought that was like, I don't know, it was one of those things. Like it was funnier to me the second time around when rewatching it than this time, or than the first time, which is funny. It made me chuckle. And then, you know, Song comes back. We do get an important moment too of Economos with Eagly, and Eagly gives him like a half hug, having his arm on it. And that was a really important moment to show Eagly does trust somebody else that's not Peacemaker, which is really important. We see, you know, they're just enjoying the band there. And they walk out the building. And when they filmed this, they didn't have the sign there. That sign is completely CG'd on.
Interesting. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, so nobody knew the what it was that they were doing, and
no leaks.
James Gunn did talk about and in that point with Checkmate getting revealed, I guess that's the point of what is Checkmate. Checkmate it's an organization that's had a few iterations in the comics. The main iteration that this is inspired by is one written in the mid 2000s, written by Greg Rucka. The initial Checkmate series, there is actually a bit collected in the second half of the Peacemaker trade that we both bought, the DC Finest trade there.
Oh yeah.
And that iteration is what's really not that iteration, but the second iteration right after is what really inspired this whole Checkmate iteration, where Sacha Baron was originally part of that team.
Interesting.
So I'm not overly familiar with Checkmate, as I haven't read much with them.
I saw a video from someone that said it definitely is a big, what there could be setting up, what James could be setting up is a big thing.
Yeah, it's one of those things that makes me want to read their original thing, which is really cool. A bunch of things there. They actually were first ever. Here's something interesting. They first appeared in Vigilante issue 36, which I think is one of the issues collected on our thing, in the DC Finest. Okay. I don't remember if the full issue of that, because some of those are just parts of the issues, but we might have that full issue there where we're able to tell. Although that might have been one where it's just part of it, because I don't remember seeing the character in it. But yeah, we get a bunch of things. Checkmate's a big organization. It's one of those things that I really do want to read out, or read the Checkmate that is part of this of it. Where let's see here, how many issues did that one last? Because there was other bits of Checkmate. But yeah,
Mhm.
Checkmate's it's like a big sort of secret agent sort of organization. You get superheroes involved with it. It's a big
Okay.
organization. The
Mhm.
one that seems like to check out is the one by Greg Rucka. So it's gonna definitely be one of those that I don't know if it's a thing if it's in print.
Okay. Yeah.
It might not be. Um, I want to say it isn't because I want to say I was looking for it and I couldn't find
Mhm.
it anywhere, and I was wanting to read it, but I don't remember.
Yeah. I wonder if it's on one of the comic like digital sites.
So DC does have it on their main one called DC Universe Infinite, where you can read the full thing of it there.
Nice.
I can pull up it here where they have it all, and so Checkmate's one of those things I've known of, but I've never fully gotten into. So I'm
Mhm.
excited that when as we read through our this is interesting. Both the original and the second Checkmate volumes were each 33 issues exactly, which is kind of in
Oh
a
wow.
weird amount of issues, if you ask me.
Yeah.
Um,
That's an
interesting.
odd number to land on.
Although something is interesting here with the numbering. Why does it say 33? I lied. It looks like the first one ended on 31, and then the second one ended on 33 because it includes the
Gotcha.
trade versions of the other one. But yeah, the one written by Greg Rucka ended on. He wrote the first 25, then another writer took over, and after like the writer had an arc, that's when it ended. So,
Okay.
and just looking through these covers of it, there is a bit of
Mhm.
notable characters that appears here, such as Suicide Squad. I think the character's name is Jade is there. Mr. Terrific is there. There's a bunch of characters that appears that I'm seeing here. I'm seeing Bane on the cover of one of these. It looks
Oh
like Mr.
wow.
Terrific plays a huge role in this, so maybe that's something where we'll see him go later on.
Oh, that'd be
Um,
nice.
it'd be cool because they're obviously doing something with the Justice Gang to later turn into the Justice League of some
Mhm.
sorts. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with all those characters as we go. But yeah, no, I could definitely see how Checkmate would be an important organization. And it's one of those things
Mhm.
that James Gunn said since season 1, he had the dream of having it be
Nice.
Checkmate. That Adebayo would be the one to
Running it
run or create
or
Checkmate.
create it. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, yeah, very cool there.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the big things is there was big reveals.
Mhm.
People, it may have not been the kind of big reveals people were looking for, but that is one of the few big reveals that happened. Is
Yeah.
the foundation of Checkmate, which is a big organization and a couple iterations of the DC Comics, is one of those things that obviously, if you're not a big fan of DC Comics, or
Yeah.
maybe not per se a big fan, but if you're not overly familiar, you might not be
Yeah.
familiar with them because unless you're around with DC in the late 80s or the mid 2000s when when Checkmate was prevalent,
Mhm.
you probably don't have a great idea of what Checkmate is because they just weren't really around.
Yeah.
And I do find it cool that they are doing bringing in another organization that people do like, but is also kind of lesser known.
Mhm.
And that iteration of Checkpoint is I check of that organization is that Sasha Bordeaux is part of, and a lot of people when she first saw her thought it was going to be a Batman tie because there are some Batman comics where Sasha was part of it,
Ah.
but yeah, I thought it was cool though to see
Mhm.
for those kind of characters to found the organization. I thought
Mhm.
it was one of those things that when it happened, I was like, oh, they're doing Checkmate, interesting.
Yeah. Well, and it fits the whole show, because most of these characters I don't think were too well known before, and I know some of them are original to the show, but like Peacemaker, I don't think was really
Yeah.
well known before Suicide Squad, as far as I know. I never heard of him.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting if we
Yeah.
ever. Well, yeah, some of them are original characters, like
Yeah. I know Adebayo is.
Hardcore and John Economos are both characters that were a thing, but they were like very
Mhm.
small, lesser known characters.
Yeah.
Hardcore is a character I think was made only years prior to when James Gunn wrote the Suicide Squad.
Oh wow.
She was a very recent character.
Yeah.
John Economos, I think, was like a background character in some of the
Mhm.
big John Ostrander Suicide Squad comics, which is like the big Suicide Squad run in the 80s that
Mhm.
James Gunn took inspiration from, which I didn't even realize he helped co-write that terrible Suicide Squad movie.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So,
Oof, I wouldn't want my name on those credits.
yeah, no, I didn't even realize that until our mutual
That's
friend Michael
funny.
brought that up. I was like, oh, interesting. Um, so there's that. What else? But yeah, no, Checkmate's a big thing that was set up. Also set up is the relationship with Rick Flag Sr. and Lex Luthor, that they're working together.
Mhm.
You know, seeing that they're together doing things is important. But then specifically what they're doing, that's the other big thing. As
Yeah.
originally the show was going to hit credits after the Checkmate sign reveal.
Mhm.
But we got another scene to show a bigger hint of what's next, and that is Chris gets captured and then gets thrown into the place that they were called Salvation, and the door gets closed, and we just hear weird monster noises.
Mhm.
And you know, I thought maybe we could have gotten teased of something, but you know what? We didn't get a tease at all of what those
That
things
was
are.
very Monsters Inc-esque. You know, Monsters Inc. when
Right?
Sully
Yeah.
and Mike get pushed through the door in the
Yeah.
snow.
Yeah.
You know, the door.
I saw somebody make a meme from about that, which is funny.
Yeah.
So
No, but that was very yeah, I'm curious to see what's next.
yeah, not really expecting it. You know, it's like,
Yeah.
and here's the thing about what Salvation is. Salvation is like one of those kind of more obscure comic things as
Mhm.
well, where what Salvation was used is in a comic series, a 7-issue comic series called Salvation Run.
Mhm.
And what happened in it is that the comic literally opens. I read the first couple. I'll get to reading
Okay.
the rest eventually. But it
Mhm.
opens with Rick Flag and Amanda Waller talking to each other, saying that they are just tired of all the metahuman villains. You know, they
Mhm.
keep on getting put into prison and breaking out and causing problems. So
Mhm.
what their solution is, throwing them onto this alternate place called Salvation, where then the villains essentially, there's all these villains that get thrown in there, which then turns into like a big civil war between the villains, where like Joker's leading some villains and then Lex
Oh.
Luthor's running the other half of villains, and they're all stranded to this place. And then we do learn more about what the place actually is. I haven't learned to, or I haven't
Mhm.
read far enough, because I've already read the first couple, where like the next issue is like the start of the civil war for me. But if I remember right from stuff that I read about it, is
Mhm.
that it's the dangers of that world is tied to apocalypse somehow. Apocalypse is in
Mhm.
the dark side's
Right.
planet, not
Yeah. Right. No, not
not
X-Men.
apocalypse
Yeah.
is in. I realize I
Yeah.
said that as like taking the character out of context there, and so. But I'm not quite sure how. You know, I don't
Mhm.
think that with this alternate reality that they're going to have new gods involved in that way. I feel like they should have the new gods thing. Um, the new gods thing, I think, will be more like alien, extraterrestrial, you know, sci-fi. You know, is those
Mhm.
vibes is what they should have it as, and not necessarily this, because I think
Well, I
it would
think.
make too much sense to
Sorry.
have it here. But yeah, what are you saying? You're
Well, I
gonna
was
say?
gonna say, I think I saw this online somewhere. I can't remember if it was a direct quote from James or not, but that the salvation, this dimension, is inspired by the comics, like in name only. Like, I
Yes.
don't think they're gonna have like a Joker versus Lex
Right. Exactly.
fight, but there might
So
be some beats to the story that they use.
so that is one of the reasons why I didn't necessarily make sure I read it all, is
Hmm.
because um is that it's really just the idea of what happens
Hmm.
in those first couple pages of Rick Flag and Amanda Waller talking with each other, where they're like, yeah, we want to just get rid of the metahumans in general. And
Hmm.
Peacemaker's technically not a metahuman, but this is what really made the show, I think. And obviously, really
Mhm.
nobody ever talk about it in this way, but I felt like with having Peacemaker trapped there and all at the end, it turned the show into like a big tragedy
Yeah.
for when you think about it, because we have this whole season of him trying to fix himself, and he
Mhm.
finally does after all these months of, or at least well, we don't know how long. Do we know how long ago that boat thing was?
It
I
was a
think they
few
referenced.
months.
I was gonna say, I think it's a matter of months where
Yeah.
we finally see him fix himself
Yeah.
after all these months of being broken, at the least.
Mhm. Yeah.
And just a week after he's all good, or just over a week after he's all good, because
Mhm.
I don't think we didn't get a clear time jump between the
Yeah.
Foundation to Checkmate and when he gets captured. But I point is though is it still wasn't that long where he
Yeah.
just gets captured, and for all we know, I mean, I doubt that James Gunn would kill Peacemaker like that. I don't.
Yeah.
By the way he's talking, I don't think he will, because he loves the
No.
character Peacemaker. I don't think he'd kill him in that way.
No.
But it is interesting though that it's like, oh, he just gets thrown in there,
Yeah.
Although
it was funny, I saw some people online because James had mentioned that a season 3 is extremely unlikely, and they were like, "Well, there goes the character." And I was like, "No, no, no." James said when he announced the whole DCU that these characters are going to appear in several projects between movies, shows, video games,
yeah,
even
different
animated
characters will
series.
appear in different
You'll
things.
get plenty Peacemaker story and other characters too.
Well, here's the thing that makes sense too, is
like,
if they were going to do another show with these characters,
yeah,
it makes more sense that it would be a Checkmate show and not a Peacemaker show if we got another story that was just on these characters, you
Yeah.
know? And so that's why I was like, okay, yeah. And I think the possibility of, say, Checkmate, I think, is a very possible show to have, which will be cool. And so we'll see if that's something that ever happens.
I think he said because Lanterns is the next project. And I want to say he said
a bunch of speculation on what Lanterns will be. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I heard that there might be some connection even with Salvation a bit with that, but I could be wrong. Honestly, there's so much floating around out there with the DCU.
I don't think he specifically is. What I remember being said about Salvation is that, or Lanterns, is that it does tie into the DCU, but in a way people may not realize at first. So Lanterns is going to be the first big project that really feels, I think, distinctly separate from everything else.
Yeah, because I don't think James is directing it either. I know he's writing it, but I think
he didn't write or direct any of it.
He didn't even write. Oh, okay.
It's now that is like the first project where he had like zero. I don't want to say input, but like
he probably gave the writers and directors a general idea of like, hey, this is how they connect. But
is the first show where. It was him where he was given full scripts that he, I mean, of course, maybe there would have been a couple notes, but the first scripts that wasn't his that he approved. Thus, it was also the first show that they shot where obviously he would watch all the main shots as they come in and approve those too. But it's not him directing nor writing. I don't remember who wrote that show. I remember Tom King's part of the writer crew, which is a comic writer that he loves, but I'm not the biggest fan of, but I don't dislike him as much as I used to.
Yeah. So obviously James can't do every single project.
Right. No, it'd be insane if he wrote everything.
Yeah. Because I don't think he's not directing Supergirl. He didn't
write or direct that one either.
No, yeah. I want to say, was it the Wonder Woman writer that he got for that? I don't know why that's in my could be a different project.
It's the person who I think it's the person who wrote that is who's writing the new iteration of Wonder Woman.
That's right. Okay. Yeah, I was getting backwards.
He loved her work so much. I think he
that's right. That he writer,
and so he's now like, you got Supergirl right pretty quick. He entrusts her with doing Wonder Woman now, so we'll see what happens.
Which gives me optimism for it.
Yeah, so. I mean, it's going to be exciting. We'll definitely be back for Lanterns, which I'm going to be so excited for.
Oh, me too.
Like the Green Lantern fan of me is so very excited. I'm trying to put together a comic club video. I know who I'm doing it with. I just need to talk with him about the exact timing with the Lantern show. You may have seen that people have been talking about it a bit recently because like a merchandising leak with like one of the hats has come out circulating.
I saw that
logo, and people are speculating what the center logo thing would mean. which they're making a possible comic connection to it.
Oh.
And we're going to be talking about the comic that people are talking about sooner than later.
Nice.
So that's one of the videos I'm wanting out sooner than later. So keep an eye out for when I do that. But yeah, it's tied to they did an animated movie of it called Justice League: The New Frontier. The comic's the same thing. So if you want to know what could be potentially teased with it, look at that. So, but yeah, I'm going to I own a really nice hardcover of that I got for Christmas. I haven't read it yet, and so it's one of those things I'm really excited to do a comic club over and talk about. But yeah, Lanterns I'm very also excited for because Batman is obviously, is like for many people, it's a generic answer, but there's a very good reasoning for why. He's my favorite DC hero. But my second favorite DC hero is Green Lantern, so I'm just very excited to see
nice
Green Lantern stuff on the big screen. So it's one of those things that's like, I am absolutely doing a Green Lantern show, and so I have to.
Yeah.
Very excited for that. But, geez, what a season Peacemaker season 2 has been, as we have now officially wrapped up our first live action. Peacemaker first live action DCU show. We officially got, essentially, I'm going to throw in, technically I think it debuted in late 2024, but I'm going to throw in Creature Commandos here, where we got our first year of DCU projects in the books now, where James Gunn did a butt ton of work of putting in all these characters and kicking off the universe. And, I think James Gunn, in my opinion, has done a great job. And yeah, I'm excited for the DCU. It's exciting to know that, after this, we're either getting Lanterns or Supergirl next. People are speculating Lanterns is going to be the next thing.
I think I've heard that, there's not an official release date, but I have heard that.
There's been a bunch of speculations for when it'll appear. I think the biggest speculation I saw was around April. So we'll see. I can't wait. Like I said, I'm going to be ready for it. I'm definitely going to have to figure out some Green Lantern stuff to do before that, because I love Green Lantern. Probably going to end up kicking me off on a little bit of a Green Lantern binge as we get closer to it and want to read more Green Lantern stuff. Because I love the Green Lantern lore. I don't know what comics they're specifically trying to take from, but I've heard rumors of a couple big villains that they may include. Which, if they do, holy cow! If any of these rumors are true, it's going to be big. Plus, we got a pretty good actor for Sinestro, which I hope he does a great job as Sinestro. So, and that part's confirmed if he's playing Sinestro.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah, I can't wait for Lanterns. But yeah, Peacemaker season 2 is in the books. It was a great season. I really enjoyed it. It was a bunch of great, character focused season of television. I thought I was overall really pleased with it. I think is for me, I would say is on probably maybe on par with season 1. I don't know if I can distinctively say one's better than the other for me personally. I thought they were both just great seasons at DC TV. I think it just kind of one of those things that solidified for me even more that Peacemaker is one of the best ever DC shows that we've gotten. Not saying it's the best, but one of the best. I don't know. I thought it was a great show in season, and I had a lot of fun doing these. What do you think? How do you feel about compared to season 1?
Same boat as you. I think it's hard to put one over the other because they're completely different styles of seasons.
Yeah,
it's kind of, for me, even though it's the same show, it's like apples and oranges. But both great.
This somebody put it in a great way where Peacemaker season 1 is already like a show about Peacemaker versus season 2 is more of a show about Chris Smith.
Exactly.
And
I agree. And so both were great. I'm gonna miss Peacemaker Thursdays because those were fun. Doing this show was fun.
Absolutely.
Mostly each week. Obviously, I'm looking forward to Smallville next week, which is I hope is going to be a ton of fun.
I'm looking forward to this before the Cape. That'll be fun.
And honestly, I'm continue to be optimistic for all future DCU projects.
Yeah.
In my opinion, James hasn't done anything where I'm like, ooh,
Yeah.
you know, I'm excited for Lantern, Supergirl, whichever's next, you know. So.
Yeah, up next, I do hope we get both this show and Creature Commandos on like Blu-ray. I'd love to have both of those out there.
Oh yeah, I know
season one is
one.
Yeah.
So I'm sure they will. Yeah.
Hopefully. I know with the bunch of these streaming shows, they'll just take them a while till they do. So you know, it's one of those things like, yeah, I get it, give them the grace period, but it'd be cool to have them released. And so I would definitely buy these. I think it'd be cool to own like all the DCU like related stuff.
Yeah.
So
started early before it gets to like 20 or 30 projects, and you're like, oh crap.
I know. The next thing you know, having to spend hundreds at once.
Exactly.
About thousands. So yeah. I guess that's a wrap. I don't think there's really anything else to talk about.
Yeah, I don't
here,
think so. Yeah.
Good
finale. You know.
Yeah, it was like I said. I think it was overall a pretty solid finale. I think it delivered on things I needed to. You know, like I said, obviously, I think there's a couple things that maybe they could have done with more, but I don't think that should detract from the greatness that we did get from it. Like at the end of the day, it was still a really good finale, even if it's not what people were necessarily personally wanting. So, what do you have coming up this week?
Yeah, so we're not sure yet if there's going to be a stream tomorrow night on the Cam and Focus YouTube channel.
Okay.
We're working out a couple things schedule-wise to see. But you can catch me mainly on the Feast of Fandoms YouTube channel twice a week. First up on Monday nights, we go live at 9:30 Eastern for MCU Mondays. We're currently going through Jessica Jones Season 2, which has been a lot of fun. And then Thursday nights for the Cantina Happy Hour, we also go live at 9:30 p.m. Eastern, and we are doing Clone Wars. We just did the Geonosis arc last week, which was a lot of fun. And so, yeah, that's basically all I got. And then I'll be back here next week for Smallville, which I'm very excited for. So,
yes. All right. Well, yeah, Before the Cape next week. Tune in. Same bat time, same bat channel, where we're not going to be talking about Batman at all, but we're going to be talking about Superman. Before the Cape next week. Excited for that, and keep an eye out where tomorrow I'm dropping the video, Dino Knight's creator interview with Zach Chapman, who that was a great interview. We talked a bit about what his project is and all that. He talked about where a bunch of his inspiration and stuff came from, and you know how it goes developing it and everything. And so it was a bunch of fun. This is a great interview. Really appreciate for anyone that's lurking and listening to go check this out tomorrow, as this was an awesome interview. I'm wanting to try to get in, start having more these like indie comic interviews on the channel, and so I'm hoping this sort of begins something special with having a bunch of stuff like this involved, having different comic creators, indie or not, on the channel. So there we go. That is a wrap for this series of Peacemaker reviews. But always more fun stuff to check out on the Dingus Den, such as I might actually end up going live here on Twitch sooner than later, gaming some as well, to be completely honest. I know me and Chris are already talking about gaming some Arc Raiders, and I kind of want to game some of another game I started playing last night. So we'll see. I'll probably be on Twitch here sooner than later. So, but without further ado, thank you everybody so much for joining for not just this episode, or this live show, but for the entire Peacemaker series so far. As this has been an absolute blast. A couple episodes have gotten some decent amount of views, so I'm pretty happy with some of it. So thank you so much for watching all these, and we will see you next time on Before the Cape.